What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It is HorrorFan34, and welcome to another video, and welcome to, once again, another 31 Days of Horror Challenge review for the month of October. Now that we are on day 2 of the 31 Days of Horror Challenge, I figured this would be another really good one to pick, which ironically enough, I just showed this recently in my Weekly Watch Challenge video for Mass Killers. And I figured this would be a really good one to do, because I feel like I almost forgot that I never talked about this film before when I reviewed it, or I never even reviewed it, period. And I don't know, like, this film, to me, I feel is very underrated. It's an underrated slasher that doesn't get brought up at all when it comes to, like, slashers, and it's one of the more underrated ones, too. I actually never even saw the sequel. I barely remember the sequel, but today's review is going to be on this, Laid to Rest. Now, Laid to Rest came out in 2009. It was directed by Robert Hall, and basically it kind of gave birth to another mass killer, this time called Chrome Skull. And what I love about Chrome Skull is, like, his look. But before I get onto that, though, all the stuff, the basic story is that you have this girl. She doesn't have a name or anything. It's just called. She's character is the girl, played by Bobby Sue Luther, who was in the Night of the Demons remake, which came out the same year as 2009. She wakes up in a casket that's locked, and she has no memory of how she got there, and she escapes, and she's being pursued by this killer known as Chrome Skull. And basically, anybody that she comes into contact with is killed off by Chrome Skull. So it's her, like, trying to escape this killer and things like that. And that's pretty much the idea of the film. Now, what really helps this film most is this cast. This cast that they got is fantastic for this. Bobby Sue Luther from the Night of the Demons remake does a great job as the lead. You have Kevin Gage, who was in films like Heat and a lot of other stuff. You have Lena Headey, who was in 300, The First Purge. Jonathan Shalhoub, who was in Quarantine, he's in here. You have Thomas Dekker, who's been in a lot of stuff. I think Nick Principe, I think that's how you say his name, did a great job playing the character of Chrome Skull. Really like his look that he has. Right up there. You have Sean Whalen, who was Roach in The People Under the Stairs. He's in here. Richard Lynch has in a small role. So great cast of characters that they got for this. I mean, just listen to that cast that I just named, like Richard Lynch, Sean Whalen, Thomas Dekker, Kevin Gage, Lena Headey. Like, great cast of people. And one of the things I think what makes this film really unique is, like, the way that Chrome Skull looks, like his design. And I just love the way he looks. Like I said, like this Chrome Skull looking mask that he has, as you can see there and up there. And I like his weapon of choice, which is these two knives with the brass knuckles. I always thought that was a really cool look for a mass killer. And another thing that's interesting too is that he has a video camera on his shoulder, and he's like killing these people, like he's video recording it himself. So it's kind of like a POV thing of this killer killing these people, and he's recording it all by having this video recorder or tape recorder on his shoulders. And I just love that. It's such an original sort of like look for a killer. And you have some extremely gory deaths in here. You have a very, very like gory deaths. Like, I think one of the best ones is Richard Lynch, who gets a metal rod right through the back, and Jonathan Shalhoub's character of Johnny gets his face cut off with a knife, and that's a really gruesome one. I'm trying to think of like other ones. I'm trying to think of like the character of Lena Headey's character of Cindy, not Sydney from like Scream, but Cindy, gets a knife right through the head. Sean Whalen, his death seems pretty crazy too, because he gets his head blown up by like one of those like tire like Searance, like he gets his head blown up, and you know the final battle between Bobby Sue Luther and Chrome Skull, you know, his face gets melted off with acid, and of course, like you have like some of your typical kills in here from like like smaller characters, like a slit throat or decapitation with a knife or things like that. So, but when it comes to like the main like stars of the film, like Richard Lynch, things like that, they're much more gruesome and much more memorable. Like I said, like Richard Lynch, you know, the metal rod, Lena Headey's death is pretty brutal. Jonathan Shalhoub, who is in quarantine, like I said, he gets his face cut off. Sean Whalen gets his head blown up. So you definitely have a lot of really cool, like, creative kills in this film. And I just think Robert Hall did a great job directing this film. It has a very nice style to it. And like I said, what I really love about this film is that it's gory, it's R-rated. They don't hold back on the violence, so you definitely have your gore. And it's got everything going for it. It's got a really good cast. Like I said, it helps with all this group of people, like, you know, Bobby Sue Luther, Sean Whalen, Richard Lynch, Lena Headey, Thomas Dekker. You have a wonderful cast of people who were in the horror genre. Very well directed as well by Robert Hall. And like I said, the design of Chrome Skull I think is so cool. Like, just look at that look that he has, like the brass knuckles with knives, his mask. And I tell you what, and Bobby Sue Luther as the lead girl, I'd also say she's one of the more underrated horror characters, like female characters in a horror film. Because everybody always brings up like all the main ones, but like I think she's definitely up there for me with people like Kyle from Child's Play 2 and Erin from You're Next. Like some of the more underrated ones that people don't bring up that much when it comes to like female leads in horror movies. And I think Bobby Sue Luther did a great job as the lead. Now, like I said, I don't remember much about the sequel, which was Chrome Skull 2: Laid to Rest. But I know it. I remember Danielle Harris being pretty good, but I don't remember much else about it, to be honest. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard for me to go into this more without really ruining anything. I kind of gave like the main deaths and things like that. But there's other stuff in here too that will be surprising. But if you haven't seen Laid to Rest, then I highly recommend that you give this a look, because I think you're definitely missing out on an underrated like slasher film from the 2000s. But that is pretty much it for my review for Laid to Rest. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video, which will be another review for the 31 Days of Horror. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.